Story time. Hey. So, all right. I'm live. We here. We out here. We in here. So, anyways, I come on YouTube to tell y'all about my hard, I'm living it right now, trials and tribulations that I'm going through. So let's start from the beginning, right? First and foremost, I got my water. And this is going to be some hot tea I drop on y'all, right? Some hot tea. But I got coffee. Because I need the energy. So let me tell you. So this takes place like last year. Not even last year, 2019. You know, I got married to someone in the Navy. Yes, sadly. But great because I support my troops. But anyways, yes, we got married and I decided to drop everything, drop my career, follow him all the way here to San Diego, California, to back him in his career, right? So I got here to San Diego around July of 2019. We're married, we're happy, we have a son together, we get an apartment. I got my car out here. Everything's going good. First month, he goes on deployment. You know, sadly, I had to jump on the workforce real quick because my son needed things and he kind of stayed home by himself. That was the hard part. Anyways, we got over that. So probably like about 8 months into it, he comes back. And we decided to bring his mom out here because we needed help with my son. So 2020. Oh wait, I forgot one part. Let me rewind. I'm not the best at stories, but I'm trying, okay? So rewind a little bit in 2019. Our marriage started getting really rocky, like to the point where I was unhappy. I'm telling him things. I'm telling him I'm unhappy. You know, I'm not happy with the way he's raising our son. He's not stepping up to the plate, doing things that dads should do with their sons. And those are things that were promised. You know, he promised this before he promised this before we got married. That was one of the stipulations that I had. But it wasn't being met. So I was like, okay, I'm unhappy. This might not work. So fast forward to 2020, his mom moves out here because he's about to go on another deployment. Pause. That's a whole nother story. I gotta breathe for that part because she was a trip. Initially, when I talked to her, she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming out to help you with Makai, and I'm gonna be able to watch him while you work, and I'm gonna get my GED." What she said. Apparently, she's supposed to get her GED, right? So that was promises. So, well, let me just get some of this real quick. This is strong. I ain't put no creamer or nothing in here. Look, just black coffee. What is the best? GI said the best way to drink coffee is black. No sugar, no creamer, just black. Chocolate. Ooh. So, back to my story. Beginning of 2020. Beginning of 2020, his mom moves out here. And then she apparently, you know, has habits that I didn't know about until she got here. So she gets here, I'm going to work full time. My son, COVID had hit too, so there was homeschooling. So at the time before, no, COVID didn't hit yet because it was January of 2020. So yeah, so she was taking him to school while I was able to go to work, which saved me about $200 a week on daycare. So about 2 weeks in, she liked smoking cigarettes. She liked her ganja. You know what I'm saying? And she liked to drink, but she had no money. So I would give her money. I would take care of her, which was I didn't care to do it as long as she was taking care of my son while I was working. I would give her any amount of money if she needed it, if she took care of my son as a me. And yeah, so first month she's taking him to school. I'm working. I'm supporting her habits. I'm like even supporting her GED. I paid for her to get a copy of her birth certificate so that she could go ahead and apply to her GED class. So she applied to GED. Well, we went to like this adult school where she applied. She went to one class, y'all. One. Dropped out. I said, okay, maybe she's not as motivated. I'm not gonna rush her. That's her business. But I offered. I put the step there. She had to step up, but only far as she could go. So, anyways, maybe I was in the neighborhood. Shit, I don't know. But anyways, so the story continues, and March comes along, and COVID hit. But before COVID hit, I started getting really irritated with her because she wanted me to support her with all these habits and not really do what she was going to say, like getting her GED and going to adult school. On top of that, she would pick my son up from school and not feed him, not even do homework with him. So I would get home about 5 o'clock. He got out of school at 2 o'clock. He has 8, homework's not done. I'm like, why are you here again with your bona fide picker-upper? Because that's basically what she did. She'll pick him up and watch him. And then when I confronted her about it, she was like, oh, I asked him, was he hungry? I'm like, bitch, if you ask a kid if they're hungry, if they go and say no, like, especially if they're doing something like you're letting them play games versus doing homework, yeah, they're going to say no. Come on now. I would at least be like, okay, here's food. Eat now. Where's your homework? Let me see it. That's all I asked for. That was it. And I would have bought her ganja, a cigarette, her drink. I would have took her anywhere she needed, But you know what? Taking them, people can't control what other people want. So what I did was I said, all right, I started making sandwiches. Like I packed sandwiches before I went to work and put in the fridge. I bought Capri Suns and told Kai, like, okay, when you get off of school, just go in there and eat. Make sure you do homework. I will call him on the phone and video chat with him. That's how to make it work. And then COVID hit. Boom. But on top of that, when I made those sandwiches, the grandma would go up in the fridge and eat the sandwiches I made. Like, I was so pissed. She would eat the sandwiches, y'all. She would eat the sandwich and then look at me like, not even knowing I made them for Makai for after school, knowing she's not gonna feed them, but she eating the sandwiches and the Capri Suns and the chips. I'm like, bitch, like this not gonna work. So I started cutting off the money. Damn right. So COVID hit, March comes, they had to do homeschooling, which was a blessing in disguise almost because I was able to monitor Makai more from work, and I got to stay home from work with him. So it became good, but the grandma started getting upset because she wasn't getting the same amount of money she was getting. And I told her straight up, I ain't got it like that. Because I didn't, because I had to support my son, which she was supposed to do, which was the agreement, and it didn't happen. So fast forward to June of 2020. She decided, I'm going back to Georgia because I can't get nothing done here. Okay, bye. Bye. I'm not going to beg you to stay. So anyways, she goes back. I personally drove her to the airport, y'all. Sure did. I sped to the airport. I sped there. Made sure she got there on time. But she went back to Georgia and told her family, of course, that I was mistreating her. I wasn't fair. I didn't do things she needed. All the bullshit that they lie about. Did I call and try to correct them? No. That I don't give a damn what other people think about me. I really don't. So I let it ride, whatever. I cut her off. I don't talk to her until this day. So let's continue to September of 2020. my spouse is still in employment, but he comes back in September. So from June to September, I was just me and my clients in San Diego, going to work, staying in the house. That's all I did. And at the time, this is where truth comes in, my part, my truth. Okay. So I was talking to guys online. I was just chatting to, to help time pass. I was bored, and my husband already talking about divorce. So we were like putting in divorce paperwork from the previous year, from all the mishaps. So with me talking to dudes online, it was kind of my way out. But I wasn't seeing anybody that I need to step out. Yes, it's a form of cheating in a marriage. However, that's my truth, right? I have more truth, but I'm gonna keep going. So he comes back, and mind you, I'm like, okay, welcome back. On his welcome home, we got it in a couple of times. Yeah. So it was like, but we weren't 100. So we weren't like, GQ. So basically, I want to say I started going out more around that time when he got back in September. I hadn't gone out anywhere in San Diego from 2019 to 2020. That's pretty good to just sit your ass in the house and work. I hadn't went out. So I was like, I'm going to go out, get my feet wet. So I started hanging out with one of my homies from Jacksonville that lives in San Diego, and I started going out. And vibing with, my island folks. I'm from the islands, from the VI, So wait, pause. I didn't even tell y'all anything about me before I start telling my truth, right? So anyways, my name is Aretha, but I go by Kim. You're not gonna get the last name. However, I am 29-ish years old, maybe 30-ish years old. You don't know that part either. I have 2 kids now, and I live in San Diego, California. So just so y'all can know that little bit. I am a fun-going, outgoing person. I like to hang out. I'm from the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas exactly. VI Massive, the Rock, I have to represent. I have my peeps out here, my Haitian crew, my Jamaican crew, my Trinidad crew, all of them. So that's the vibe. So anyways, back to the story. So let me tell you. I went to get my blood done, I think at the base. Right, a little old day. La la la. So I'm going to get my blood done, and I'm in there. I think I had my work clothes on. I was looking real cute, you know what I'm saying? It sound like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm there just to get blood work done. And I'm talking to the girls, and this guy comes from the back. He was like, oh, you got an accent. Where you from? And I was like, accent? What accent? Because I don't hear my accent. I sound like a Yankee. So sometimes I sound like a Southern Yankee. Sometimes I get a little ghetto or I get a little prissy shit. However it come out, right? So I tell him where I'm from. We end up exchanging numbers, even social media. I was like, okay, he cool people. He seemed like cool people. It was nothing more that I wanted. It was just, oh, he seemed cool from Jamaica. Island folks, let's vibe, because island people out here, they like to get up and have yard parties and house parties and yacht parties, just for the island folk, the little group, the little social group. So we run in the same circles. I was like, all right, cool. You might know some people I know. So, So maybe a week later, I hit him up through Snap, and I was like, yo, there's a party. It's a day party at the park. Let's go. You're going to come through, whatever. So the day of the party, this young man by name, I'm going to give him a code name. His name is D. D-Boy. No, I'm playing. But anyways, I was like, I was supposed to go to the party, but I didn't want to go, so I literally sat at home. Who hits me up? Yo, where you at? Where you coming through? D. He's like, oh, where you at? You coming through? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, yeah, I did tell you about the party. He already kind of knew about it. But I did say I was coming, so I said, all right, yeah, I'm gonna come up. So I got ready, I got out the house. As I'm leaving out the house, guess who's upset that I'm leaving? Because I still live with my husband. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, okay, you can go, but whatever. That's all you do is go out. Yeah, he was irritated, but I still went. So his husband was still mad, but I went to the party because my other homeboy was there too, and he was there. So we vibed, we chilled. I got towed the fuck up, like drunk. I don't know. I think I drank a lot that day. I think it's mainly because of the stress. Man, the stress I was under. It was so much stress that I was under. Just dealing with this marriage and all these problems we was having at home. Alcohol is my best friend. He's still my best friend. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, this story gets better, y'all. I'm telling you, just wait. So, I literally go. What did I do? I went to the party. We vibed. I was looking good. So I got drunk. After we left the party, I left first. And then D hit me up. He was like, yeah, where you going next? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go to the house. Shit, I'm fucked up. And he was like, and I was like, where you at? He told me he was at home. I said, okay, I'm going to come through. I told him I was coming through. I was bored, so I didn't want to go home yet, but I was drunk at the same time. I don't know how I drove, but these are all my truths, y'all. My badges and truths, so don't judge. Just listen. So I went to his house. It was like oh, we hungry. So we got in the car, his car, and drove to El Gordo, got the tacos. So we was in a taco line. It was a long line, because apparently El Gordo is the spot to go to out here in San Diego. It's the spot. So basically, we was basically in line, and he was talking. I could tell he was wasted too. I'm talking. Next thing you know, I'm touching. Next thing you know, I got on his lap and just kind of like started kissing, all this stuff in the line, in the car of El Gordo. Little something, yes. The person or the people behind us was like, hey, get it in. They got wild. So anyway, I got off of him and was like, oh my gosh, like I had to catch myself, like, wake up, Aretha, wake up. Anyways, ended up getting our tacos, went back to his house. I realized like the liquor started hitting hard, like, but I played it off. Anyways, he was apparently trying to play it off too, because he was fucked up. Anyways, we didn't eat the tacos. I think they were like nasty or something. So I was like, I'm gonna lay down a little bit before I go. No, I didn't lay down. He was like, come lay down, just stay the night. And I was like, no, I gotta get home. I told him I live with my spouse or whatever. And the point is, he met me at the clinic, the military branch where he worked at. So like, he knew I was married. It's in the system. I didn't hide shit. So anyways, yeah. So I'm like, he's like, no, just stay the night. I'm like, no. And then eventually I was like, okay, I'm just gonna lay down a little bit because I am busy. So, went to lay down. Sorry, touchy-feely, Let's after touchy-feely, he was like adamant to show me that he had skills. So yeah, we got it in that night. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And truth is, like, I don't think we used any protection. Yeah, we did not. Sure didn't. And the next day I regretted all this shit, but this is my truth, y'all. Don't judge. So let's listen. Yeah. Your girl was a hot thought. Oh God. So I didn't leave his house until 6 a.m. And then I went home at 7 a.m. And my spouse was like, oh, that's what we do. That's how we do. That's what we do now. He went off on me, right? I made up a lie. I was like, oh yeah, I got too drunk and I had to stay in a friend's house. And I said I had to stay at my homeboy Grinch house. And he was like, oh, you fucking with the Grinch. I'm like, no, it's not like that, blah, blah, blah. I was like, whatever. Get over it. I went out. I'm home. What? So that's how our marriage was. We just like, okay, all right, take it as it comes. He's kind of like, when is she gonna get her shit together? Because he know in the past he cheated on me a couple times. So I don't know if that was the case, but yeah, I literally went in the house, took a shower, took a nap by 8, and then I went and got food with my son. We chilled. Of course, who hits me up? D. He's like, oh, I'm so hungover. I didn't drink enough water. And I was like, okay, I'm bringing some tea. So I go over there, I drop off some tea, you know, flirted or whatever. And I was like, bro, like, I'm like thinking I want to talk about last night. We did talk about it a little bit. I was like, damn, it wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. Should have stopped there, actually. Should have stopped there. Should have motherfucking stopped there. Should have cut it off. But I didn't cut it off. I kept going. So through the month of September, October, I'm fucking with D. We texting back and forth. I'm seeing them. We hanging out to the mall, out to eat, getting it in. At the same time, my spouse is like, oh, you're going out all these times. You're not coming home. You get a job. I'm like, we're fighting. He's threatening, fucking threatened to shoot me. Pulled a gun out on him. Well, he threatened to pull a gun out. So a lot of times, you know, I went to D's house as an escape. So D was like my escape. He was a guy I met. His personality was cool as fuck. I could talk to him. At times I can just be chilling with him, not even talking, just humble. And I love that about him. I loved it so much that I decided to step out on my marriage, and I kept stepping out on it instead of making up for my problems. So yeah, I would go to D house, escape. He knew where I was coming from. Very transparent. So anyways, November comes around and your girl pops up pregnant. Yes, I'm pregnant. So as I'm pregnant, I'm like, who's the daddy? It's so sad. I'm like, I don't know who her or his dad could be because I was starting. I was drinking so much. I also was dealing with a lot of mental health issues. Mental health is not a game. I'm gonna tell you all that now. I was on Adderall. I was on Xanax. I was dealing with some depression like shit. Like this shit was causing me to question myself a lot. My goals, my future plans, things that I've done. I felt like it was nothing, but it was, you know, a detrimental time. I'm telling you, our mental health ain't no game. It's serious. So, and D had an idea that I was going through some shit. He would see me drinking too much. Oh, you're always drinking. Or he'll say like, oh, you must, I'm always moving, I got ADHD and all kind of shit. So I shared some stuff with him. So when November came around and I found out that like, okay, I don't know who this baby daddy could be. So I started looking for the timeline. I'm like, okay, I know I didn't do nothing with Dave, with my husband. In October last time we did some was the beginning of October. And I got that pregnancy timeline was saying I got pregnant at the end of October, between the end of October and November 12th. One person I was with on October 29th and November 12th was D. It gets better. So I have to also mention that my spouse and D are both in the military, right? So there's detrimental consequences for when a spouse dates another military member while married to another military member. That's a whole nother thing I'm gonna tell you about later. So listen. I definitely didn't think it was my spouse's, so I didn't tell him. But I told D. I was like, "Look, I'm pregnant." He was like, "No, it's not my baby because I got snipped." I was like, "Okay, well, you lying because I'm not Virgin Mary. I didn't even get myself pregnant." So we decided to go to the clinic. We got a test from the clinic. He confirmed with me at the clinic that I was pregnant, and he was like, "Okay, what are we gonna do from here?" I was like, "I don't know. I haven't told my spouse, and I know it's not him." And he's like, "Sure." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure because you're the last person I was with. I haven't slept around with anybody else." He was like, "Okay, well, are you gonna stay with your husband?" I was like, let's try to figure this out first. So what I said was, I offered to do. I had to stand up, y'all. My legs are hurting. I'm talking too much. So, man, my booty look nice with this. Let me stop, y'all. Let me stop. Let me stop. I gotta finish the story. So, story goes. Okay. I said, this is around December now, 2020. I was like, look, yo, let's get an abortion. Because at this point, I don't know if I'm ready for a kid because I still have my son. I want to start my career out here, I got things I want to do. I don't want to have a kid right now. Like, no abortion. I want you to have the baby because this is my first child. I'll be there to support you, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay. I said, all right, but I'm also going to tell my spouse because he's going to find out anyways. So I told my spouse, and he's like, he automatically start. It's his baby because he doesn't know how far along I am, right? So we're on that thought for a minute. I let him think that to avoid any fighting or whatever. So I even went to like baby store with him and looked at some clips. Oh, this is not funny, y'all. This is my truth, though. I'm telling you, it's my truth. Woo. So January 2021. I'm talking to D still. We like started technically dating while I'm still married, and he knows this. So apparently he's like, you gotta tell your spouse about me or tell him that, who's the baby's daddy. So I finally told my spouse, like, look, you're not the dad. Or you may not be her dad, his dad. Because I slept around. You would imagine how that went over, right? He was like, oh, what the fuck? Okay, so all this arguing time. He threatened me a couple times. I had to go sleep at D house a couple times, which was I was already doing. And this is January now. That I had introduced D to my son, who is 11, and he didn't like him at all. He was like, oh, he's weird. Anyways, so the reason I introduced my son to him is because D wanted to have a relationship and have a family, and he eventually wanted to just live together and go from there and buy a house, all that. So I was like, okay, sounds good. My divorce is going to start processing soon, and I feel like I didn't want to be in a relationship, but here I'm going to try it because I'm pregnant by you. That was basically my idea. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I don't want to be with anybody for a baby. So by the time January came around, I actually fell in love with D. I liked the idea, and it became something more than just a baby. So I decided to kind of start doing a few things. So at first, I was going to just wait. until I separated from the house with my spouse and then move forward with the relationship. But hey, it didn't ride that way. And that's how life is. It don't ride that way. It never rides the way you want it to ride. Shit. So, spouse knows, right? And baby daddy knows. And tune in for part 2 later. Because I'm going to take a little break and go find something. But your girl is going to tell the second part of her truth where it gets really, 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 really juicy. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, it gets juicy. Maybe too juicy.